And let's make a little jingle this weekend. What do you say? Ross, the boss, Benjamin, wagertalk.com joining us right now here on the Sam Bourquin Show, AM 1310 WDPN, as we bring him in on this beautiful Thursday afternoon. Ross, happy Thursday, bud. How are you?
I'm great. How about yourself, Sam?
I'm
Always
good.
a pleasure to be with you, my friend.
Thanks for coming in. We appreciate it. I'm in a super good mood today. I think our baseball team is going to put the Tigers out of their misery tonight. So I'm looking forward to maybe clinching the division sometime over this weekend. The damn Browns beat the Packers last Sunday. They might do it again. They might.
We said on last week's show.
I know. So here we are. Things are good, and I'll tell you what, you're having a heck of a couple of weeks, man. 15-5 the last 2 weeks in college and pro ball. You are on fire, Ross.
Absolutely. 7-1 the last 2 weeks in college football, off a 4-0 sweep last week in the NFL, including a 4% best bet on the Cleveland Browns, who I gave you right here on this channel, absolutely free, plus 8.5. Never in doubt, buddy. Never in doubt.
Ross, what in the name of Bart Starr happened last Sunday up in Cleveland?
The Browns defense is going to keep them in a lot of games. And people were misled by the 41 points or 42 points they gave up against Baltimore because they only allowed 242 yards in that game.
That's right.
So if they don't self-destruct offensively and force their defense into short fields, this is a team that's going to be highly valued as an underdog amongst my peers.
It was a wild game. I mean, they had no business winning that game.
No.
And but the defense, Andre Schmidt. I mean, come on, 55-yard field goal by Andre Schmidt.
I was happy for the kid. You know what I mean? Yeah, after opening day, what he went through, good for him.
Yeah, you could. I don't know if you saw any of the stuff post game, but I saw a couple of the videos where they catch Schmidt walking off the field through the tunnel to get through to the locker room, and you could just tell he had his helmet off and the look on his face. I mean, I don't know if I've seen a more elite football player in my life than him. I felt good for him because I think not maybe that's what he needed, Ross, to get him over the hump. Now he's done it at home, a pressure cooker situation. Maybe he'll take off now.
Yeah, I mean, people don't forget this kid was the Lou Groza Award winner as a freshman at Syracuse. So he's had success. Now, it's a whole different animal on a professional level, right? But good for him. That shows me a lot of character. Not only that, he missed that chip shot at the end of regulation time in that opening day loss to Cincinnati, but he came back and hit the one in overtime. Unfortunately, Cincinnati scores a touchdown. But, to me, there's more pressure on the one in overtime because he had just missed at the end of regulation time. So good sign for Cleveland's kicking game to come.
Yeah, no doubt. Ross, before we get into the selections here for Saturday and Sunday, what the heck? What was going on last weekend with all the block kicks, especially in the fourth quarter? Never seen anything like it.
Yeah, all the block kicks, and then in college football, I get lucky with a safety with the Oklahoma game. They were -5. They win by 7 with the safety with less than a minute to go.
Yeah.
So we always remember the ones we lose like that, but we never remember the ones we win like that.
Celebrate those.
But the block field goal for a touchdown by the Eagles, where the Rams were attempting a go-ahead field goal with seconds on the clock, and then the Jets game in which they ended up losing, but they came back from the dead with that block field goal return for a touchdown. So, we're not going to see too many of those Sundays going forward this season, but it certainly was fun, unless you were on the other side of that.
Yeah, then it was no fun. Ross Benjamin is our guest at wagertalk.com, wagertalk.com. We get the Weekend Warrior. We're going to be flashing that graphic up here on the screen, Ross, as we move along here this afternoon. But before we go any further, we're going to give out some picks today for Saturday, Sunday. But how can the fans get directly to you and get some action?
Well, I'm at wagertalk.com. I'm exclusive there. And you can go right to my direct link there, which is wt.buzz/RB, wt.buzz/RB. Sam had mentioned the Weekend Warrior package. I mentioned 15-5 the last 2 weeks, or Sam did, in college football, NFL combined, and $49, folks, for Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. All NFL, all college football. If you, like I said, if you were with me the last 2 weeks with this exact package, you went 15-5 for a $49 investment. My $35 5% top play in college football is $35 alone. And don't forget, you got 2 Monday games going this week as well.
That's
so looking forward to this week.
That's right. And you'll have a big old smile on your face. You get that Weekend Warrior package and let it rip this week. And there you go, wt.buzz/RB to get right to Ross. Okay. As far as the college football slate is concerned, there's that Weekend Warrior graphic up there, folks. You want to screenshot that and keep that for safekeeping down the road. I'm going to go right to a game that's pretty big in our neck of the woods here. To the number 1 team in the country, Ohio State, going to take that long trip out to Seattle to take on the Huskies. I've seen this line anywhere between 7.5 and 8. I've seen a couple of 8.5s. Those are kind of gone away, though. But break down this Buckeye-Husky game. I don't think, Ross, this is as easy as a lot of the Ohio State fans think it might be.
No, I know Washington hasn't played anybody. Okay, I get that. But it's a tough venue to play in, especially for a freshman quarterback making his first start on the road. Let's not forget, folks, this line opened at 9.5. It came down to 8. I could assure you, public bettors are not lining up to bet against Ohio State early. That's sharp money. I'm not going to call for an outright upset here. Wouldn't shock me, but more importantly, getting that 8.5 points, I think, is the way to go in this game. I'm not going to use it on my card. But certainly, if I had to give a strong opinion in that regard, I would take the points at home with the Washington Huskies over an excellent Ohio State team. Look, the bottom line is, don't forget, Ohio State could win this game and still not cover. They're laying 8.5, so keep that in mind, folks.
Yeah, I saw a stat earlier this morning. I think, I don't remember the exact, I should have wrote it down, but the Buckeyes, they have not fared well out in the great Northwest over the decades. They've had some struggles out there.
Yeah. It's a tough place to travel to. It's one of the farthest. If you're coming from the East Coast, it's a long journey going out to Washington and Oregon. So sometimes it takes a toll on, especially college kids who aren't used to that, No
doubt. And that is one of the loudest venues in college football. I don't know what the loudest one is, but that place hums when it's full.
Well, the one in Seattle Seahawks Stadium might be pretty close. So, yeah, the decibel level definitely gets up there, and that's what I was referring to. It's a tough ask for a freshman quarterback at his first start on the road in his career.
Ross Benjamin is our guest. You can check him out right now at wagertalk.com, at wagertalk.com. All right, 3:30 Saturday, Ross. This looks like it could be a pretty good ball game. Number 4, LSU at number 13, Ole Miss. The Rebels right now are laying about 1.5 to the Bayou Bengals. What do you say?
Everybody keeps telling me, Ross, I know you took LSU to win the national championship at plus 1,400 and plus 700 to win the SEC. But aren't you concerned with their offense? Yeah, a little bit, but aren't you concerned with their defense when you're going up against them? And the last I checked, Ole Miss loves to be in high-scoring affairs, right? Mm-hmm. Well, they might be hard-pressed to get that track meet going against LSU because LSU's defense, Sam, right now, they're definitely top 5 in the country. And I just think that LSU's offense is underachieved thus far. There is explosiveness there, especially at the wide receiver position. And Grant Nussmeier is a top-notch college football quarterback. I like LSU in this spot against Lane Kiffin and Ole Miss. Lane Kiffin in big games against SEC opponents, especially ones that are evenly matched like this. More times than not, he comes up on the short end.
Oregon at number 6 in the country, at number 3 Penn State. This is going to be a whiteout. It's going to be a 7:30 kick at Happy Valley. The Nittany Lions at home laying 3.5 to Oregon.
You know what James Franklin's reputation is, right, Sam? He can't win big games against highly ranked opponents. I think he's in his career at Penn State. I believe he's 1-20 straight up against top 5 and top 10 teams combined. And, that's what a lot of people are leaning on here. Look, I definitely like Penn State's senior quarterback a lot more than I like the kid from Oregon, Dante, the quarterback there that transferred from UCLA.
Yeah, Dante, I think's his name.
Yeah, it's you know what I'm talking about, Sam. But anyway, that's why I do numbers and I don't do names. But in any event, I think Penn State finally puts all the critics to rest here. It's a revenge game. It's a whiteout in college at Penn State this week. And I think all that works to their advantage. They'll be plenty motivated. And Oregon's good. No two ways about it. But this is a tough place to play against. And it tells me something when Oregon's such a highly touted team and Penn State with a reputation of losing these types of games with James Franklin is still a 3-point favorite. In some places has moved to 3.5. I like Penn State here over Oregon.
Yep, I would tend to agree with you there as well. Ross Benjamin, wagertalk.com, at wagertalk.com. We'll flash that Weekend Warrior package graphic up on the screen here in just a minute. All right, usually, Ross, when I hear Alabama, Georgia, I run right to my TV. This is like the big game of the weekend. And not to sell it short because it still is a great matchup, but I think a couple other games maybe have a little bit more juice here. The Dogs at home between the hedges laying 3.5 to the Crimson Tide.
Yeah. Alabama to me is in a more urgent situation. You're looking at an Alabama team that's already suffered a loss already. And yes, you can make the college football playoffs in 2025 with 2 losses. I get that. But they still have a long way to go in terms of the schedule. Now, having said all that, I firmly believe, with my eye test, look, the South Florida game aside, Alabama to me looks like the better team. That's what my eye test tells me. This kid Simpson at quarterback has really come on and steadily improved game by game. He wasn't really that bad against South Florida. You can't cast the blame on him with that loss because I thought he was probably their best player on the field in that game. In the last 2 weeks, he's really, really looked like a seasoned quarterback for a kid who's a first-time starter. Georgia, extremely lucky to beat Tennessee. Really lucky. I mean, Tennessee, again, similar to the Browns, their field goal kicker misses a chip shot field goal. Final play of regulation time. Goes to overtime. They win the game 44-41, but Tennessee just torched the Georgia defense, who's ordinarily extremely strong. And then you look at the week before, I believe they played an FCS opponent and only won 26-7. Alabama, to me, look, Georgia at home has won, I want to say, 32 straight home games. Okay, I might be incorrect, but I know I'm in the neighborhood. And they're only laying 3 at home as an undefeated team against a 2-1 squad. When it looks too good to be true, folks, more times than not it is in sports betting. Give me the Alabama Crimson Tide plus the points.
Yep, I love the Tide there as well. All right, Ross Benjamin is our guest, wagertalk.com. Again, 15-5 his last 2 weeks, NFL and NCAA football combined. Make sure you check him out at wagertalk.com. We'll put that Weekend Warrior graphic up there. The Weekend Warrior special, only $49 this weekend, and he'll make it happen for you. All right, to the NFL, Ross. First game I want to take a look at is the Philadelphia Eagles at the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Baker May has got Tampa riding high 3-0. They've rallied 3 consecutive weekends. They're a home dog here. 3.5 the Eagles are laying at Raymond James Stadium.
Yeah, and I think that's a correct line. And both of these teams have been a little bit lucky early on. Right, Sam? I mean, Tampa Bay has needed Baker Mayfield to pull games out in the last minute in all 3 wins. Mike Evans is going to be out. That's huge. That's a huge loss. And the odds makers are telling you something, folks. When 2 3-0 teams are meeting, and each was a playoff team a season ago, and the road team is laying 3.5. I get it's the Eagles, but when you stop and think about it, has the Eagles really overly impressed you this year? They were very lucky to get by Dallas. They could have lost that game. Very lucky last week blocking a field goal with no time left and returning it for a touchdown. So I think the Philadelphia Eagles are to play here. I like the Eagles late at 3.5 over Tampa Bay.
All right. Next game I want to take a peek at is where do we go? The Minnesota Vikings and the Pittsburgh Steelers. Now, no real home field here, as the game will be in Dublin, but I imagine there'll be a lot of terrible towels there anyhow. Vikings are laying 2.5 to Pittsburgh. What do you see?
I see a game that you should stay away from. First of all, me personally, I don't like these games that are played abroad. You don't know what you're going to get from both teams. You don't know what goes on the week leading up to the game because they both get there early. Minnesota's going to be in Europe for 2 weeks. As a matter of fact, they play in London, I believe, next week.
That's right, against the Browns.
So this is a game. There's better value on the board, folks. Both teams 2-1. Minnesota coming off a nice win last week at home, bouncing back from that terrible loss against Atlanta at home. And Pittsburgh 2-1, but they haven't really wowed me. You know, I mean, Aaron Rodgers, okay, he's definitely an upgrade from what they've had in recent seasons. And it's not a huge upgrade, though. So I would stay away from this game, folks.
One more before we wrap up with the Browns in Detroit on Sunday. Baltimore at Kansas City, Ross. Boy, this is, I hate to say, a must-win for one of these teams, but, man, we're almost into October. Ravens laying 2.5 at Arrowhead. Who bounces back this weekend? What happens?
Well, in terms of Baltimore, it's a must-win if they have a realistic opportunity to be the number one seed in the AFC. They're 2 games behind Buffalo. Buffalo's got an extremely soft schedule over the next 4 or 5 weeks. They're going to be favored in every game. I just think that this is a very good matchup and another one that I don't think that I'm going to use at all. But Kansas City, to me, they don't look right offensively, Sam.
No, they don't.
They just don't. They're not sharp. You saw a couple miscues on pass patterns last week, namely with Travis Kelce. I'm going to stay away from this game. Ordinarily, I would favor the home team here. Baltimore's defense has been extremely disappointing through the first 3 weeks. Yes, they held the Browns down, but the Browns aren't an explosive offensive team. That's not the way they have an opportunity to win. So they'll be hard-pressed here on the road against Kansas City. If I had to put the proverbial gun to my head, I still think Baltimore's the more talented team in this matchup. But what we've seen from the Ravens so far, being a more talented team isn't always the winning answer. So, small lean toward Baltimore at the very best, Sam.
Yeah, and it's weird, Ross. It sounds weird. It feels weird for me to even say it. Kansas City offensively looks like they don't even have an identity. And that is just truly bizarre to say that in 2025. All right, check them out. WT.buzz/RB. It gets you right to our man, Ross Benjamin. That's WT.buzz/RB. Check them out. Ross Benjamin, wagertalk.com. All righty. Ford Field on Sunday, 1 o'clock. Browns in the Lions. Detroit mashed the Ravens last weekend. The Browns pulled out a miracle against the Packers. Detroit, Ross, laying 9.5 on Sunday. The total 44.5. What do you like?
Yeah, the Browns can't afford to get in the track meet here. Obviously, they can't afford to get in the track meet against anybody, quite frankly, right now as their offense stands right at the moment. Detroit showed me a lot defensively. Yes, they gave up 30 points to Baltimore last week, but they sacked the toughest quarterback to sack in all of football. Josh Allen statistically was last year, but, you ask anybody off at the seat next to you at the bar, who's the toughest quarterback to sack? I think unanimously we would all say Lamar Jackson, but they got to him 7 times. So I like the under here. A bit of the value has been taken away because it moved down below that key number of 45 when it comes to NFL totals. Mm-hmm. But my lean here, and I'm not going to say give me the damn Browns this week. I hope they, it's just, and these Monday teams coming off a Monday night win like Detroit come in, especially a straight up underdog win on the road, and playing the following Sunday as a heavy favorite. Anything 7.5 or more in the NFL, to me, I consider a heavy favorite. 6-1 to the under in recent games in those situations. So I'm going to go under the total here. I think the Browns defense is for real. I just hope their offense can do enough to keep them off the field so they don't wear down late. But if that's not the case, Cleveland, look, they definitely lack explosivity. They definitely lack a potent run game. And I don't think I'm telling you or any of the viewers anything that they would disagree with. I hope they turn it around in that regard.
Yeah. And just a side note question off of this, Ross, if Joe Flacco really, really struggles this weekend, would you think they'll make a move and go to Gabriel?
Well, we saw the Giants make the move, but that was after going 0-3 and losing in a national TV game, which Russell Wilson shown signs of life the week before, which was the worst thing that could have happened, like I told you last week. Jackson Dart's going to get the start this week. Well, here's the thing with Cleveland. They're 1-2. The rest of you're talking 1-2 and 2-1 teams in that division. So in their mind, they're not out of it yet. Okay. So you can't pull the plug too early and rush a rookie into the fire unless things are absolutely disastrous. And let's not forget, the Browns could very easily be 2-1 right now.
Absolutely.
I'm not trying to paint them as a Super Bowl champion, but like I said, their defense keeps them in games. And Joe Flacco, you just have to depend on him not to make that critical error that you might be more vulnerable to when you bring in a rookie quarterback. So I would say keeping Flacco under center right now is the right thing to do. I know I'll get some argument on that, and I get it, but that's my personal opinion.
Yep. I'm with you. I would stick with the 40-year-old veteran as well. Ross, always a pleasure. Again, at wagertalk.com, It's Ross Benjamin. If you want to get those selections, go right to him, wt.buzz/RB. Ross, 15-5. The last 2 weekends in college and pro football, he is on a tear. Ross, always appreciate the visit. Have a great weekend, and we'll do it again in 7 more days.
I appreciate you having me, Sam. You have a great weekend as well, sir.
There he goes. Ross the Boss Benjamin checking us out here on AM 1310 WDPN, the Sam Bourquin Show.